I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, February the 13th. That's a bad day, isn't it? It was a bad day at the legislature on a couple of counts. The House passed a bill that was called a Conscience Protection Act. It's supposed to prevent people from having bad things happen to them because of their religious beliefs. What it's about is protecting people who want to discriminate against gay people. There was an even more overt discrimination bill passed later by the House, and it was final action on a bill by Bart Hester to prohibit cities and counties from passing civil rights ordinances that protect gay people. This was a reaction to Fayetteville passing just such an ordinance. They want to keep the present state of Arkansas law, which provides no protection for gay people in employment, housing, or public accommodation. There was really a ringing speech by Clark Tucker, a freshman legislator from Little Rock, who went far beyond the standard argument that this is about local control and local cities should decide what they want to do. And he said it's just simply the wrong thing to do. It's probably unconstitutional and will cost the state money, but it's just on the wrong side of history to pass an overtly anti-gay measure, and I think he's right about that. But he was outvoted. However, the bill's emergency clause was not adopted. They can only muster about 54 votes for that. That means the law will not take effect until 90 days after the end of the session. There's still time for cities to pass anti-discrimination ordinances. I hope Little Rock has such a thing in the works. I have some indication that they've been talking about it. It's time for them now to act. It is the right thing to do, as Clark Tucker said. There's actually a little piece of nice news on the equality front, and that's a story from Northwest Arkansas that a same-sex couple, two young men, in the 1 week in which marriage was allowed in Arkansas under Chris Piazza's ruling, got married and later adopted two children. They are believed to be the first same-sex couple in Arkansas to have a joint adoption of children. Under a law, unless you're married, you can't jointly adopt as a couple, and of course gay people can't marry now, but for 1 week they did, and so they now have a family of four, thanks to a good judge in Northwest Arkansas. Another piece of interesting news out of Fayetteville today was the news that the American Humanist Association had to complain because a teacher and principals at a Fayetteville school, Fayetteville of all places, had disciplined a child for refusing to take part in the Pledge of Allegiance exercise. It's a well-established matter of Supreme Court law that dates back 70 years that you can't be compelled to participate in the Pledge of Allegiance. The First Amendment applies not only to speech but to not speaking. It's particularly ironic because some very famous cases arose in Arkansas, including in Washington County, over Jehovah's Witnesses' refusal to participate in pledge activities because their religion tells them they don't have to. The Fayetteville School District has given some remedial education to the teachers who didn't know any better. Asa Hutchinson's office told me last night that he indeed plans to stick with his decision not to go through the normal pork barrel procedure of passing out surplus money at the end of the legislative session among legislators, the so-called gift money for the General Improvement Fund. He says he needs that surplus money to fund his tax and other proposals, and so there's not going to be the annual run to pork. I asked the question because legislators are filing dozens of gift funding bills for pork for all sorts of local projects. Hutchinson says he's standing firm. Formal news came last night from the Arkansas Arts Center in the form of a letter to a member of its Board of Trustees saying that yes, a strategic plan they've been working on for more than a year by an outside independent consultant says that the current facility in MacArthur Park simply can't be renovated to meet all the many needs for conservation of art and storage of its artwork. They are in the process, yes, of looking perhaps at building a new facility somewhere. North Little Rock is in the lead on this with a plan Joe Smith is working on that would combine public and private money to build a brand new facility downtown. Little Rock is scrambling for ways to keep the attraction in Little Rock. We've got a ways to go on that story, but it's interesting. The Little Rock police announced this morning that they'd made arrests on another Craigslist crime. This was a case where a man advertised a motorcycle for sale, met somebody who wanted to buy it, and got robbed and killed by the person who went off with his motorcycle. The man who stole the motorcycle apparently was stupid enough to tell the police that, gee, he acquired this thing somehow and saw that it was being sought by police and media photographs. They changed the interview around a little bit and soon found that he had done more than simply buy a stolen motorcycle. He was responsible for the crime. And finally, before I go, the legislature did pass yesterday, and I failed to mention, the House passed, it still must go through the Senate, Kim Hendren's bill to require teaching of cursive writing in schools. Well, they taught cursive writing when I was in school. See my signature today? That says Max Brantley, believe it or not, and I'm still Max Brantley. I'll be back Monday. See you later.